hard time spelling, so that explains it. No problem at all. So anyway, everyone, we're here for the post-show. This is still live, so if you do have questions, you can ask us. Just go to Twitter. The hashtag is SurftechSO13. That is SurftechSO for Shootout 13. So if you have any questions, you're able to ask us. If you have any thoughts, you can post them. And we're going to be taking you play-by-play during this for the Surftech Shootout Race 2013. So Morgan,
we have the Harlem Shake going on. In the
background. Yeah, that's right. We got the Harlem Shake going on. So I'm sure that's going to be on YouTube coming up. So what's up with this Harlem Shake thing? I know you're not participating. I didn't have any outfit.
I didn't have an outfit either.
I think maybe I don't need one. I just look funky enough, and
I don't know. I mean, I think that you're pretty good looking dude. I
would
say that you're
there we go. Thank you. The same to you. So not a dude, beautiful woman. So anyway, enough of that on the webcast. We're gonna get in trouble here.
For Love Fest.
Yeah, that's right. So Morgan, thanks a lot for joining us. Morgan, elite sub racer, and she's here to comment. So we're gonna have like incredible insights as we take you play by play for this live post show. So coming up, we're gonna start with the race. So we're still looking at we got the Harlem Shake coming up, but we're gonna have there we go. We're gonna have the race coming back here, replay brought to you by Oakley at the Surftech Shootout. There it is. So here we go. How was it, Morgan? You were right there.
It was good. You know, the start was we got lucky because there wasn't a big set or anything that had come in, so everyone seemed to make it out fairly cleanly, I think. So I know that in years past I've seen footage of just like giant shore breaks, so we all got really lucky going out. I mean, you can see here that it's like a pretty small little wave that everyone seems to get through.
I gotta say that was a mistake because Duke should have waited. I mean, we want to see the set wave, right?
It does actually make it interesting, and it sort of tests your little skill level trying to get out. But it's always sort of nice when you don't get blasted in the beginning. You can make it out all nice and clean.
Right,
so
right. So what are you looking for as you just launch into the water? What's going on here? Just break it down for us.
It's always hard with these beach starts, you know, because there's so many people, and a lot of times you can't get your paddle where you want it, and you're sort of jockeying for position. So kind of at this point, you're trying to look for as much clean water as you can. You know who's really good, and you can I don't know if you can see her, but who always gets a really good start is Candace. She's very clean off the start all the time, and so she always gets out into like nice clean water and gets a good lead on everybody.
So was there like any hole or anything that you had to watch for as you went into the water? Because sometimes you take one step out and there's like a black hole right under you.
Yeah, you know, this was not too bad. I mean, as beach starts go, this was a fairly mellow one. But yeah, I know what you mean. A lot of times at Dana Point, like Battle of the Paddle, they have that hole that you're talking about. And it gets stuck in the
infamous hole. I mean, one step too early, you lose the entire race. You go from first to last. So there is the start of the race. We've got some Groms in the mix here. I hadn't noticed them before, but there they are. So as you can see, if you're behind, you got a lot of bump, right? Always very difficult if you're having to deal with all that bump. A lot of times you don't have space to put your blade in the water, so.
Right, yeah, it's hard when it's so wishy-washy, you know, and your boards kind of makes everybody really unstable. So this is the part you can kind of see people fall all the time, and there's some prone paddlers in there too, so you have to be careful not to hurt them with the paddle.
So there we have in the lead somebody going for with that choke down stroke.
Yeah, do you like that choke down stroke?
Yes, I do. You know, like I use it a lot for surfing sometimes. I need to just get fast and get it going to get through the whitewash, or there's like a set. I don't want to eat it. And it just gives me that extra speed. It does give me more leverage, you know, the closer. Oh, look at that. Somebody almost fell. Whoa, 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 and almost fell again.
See, that's the problem with when you're getting on the start. A lot of people try to get on, you know, people's drafts and do the whole drafting thing, but you really have to be careful because if you hit other people, or they can cause you to fall, and it's hard when there's so many people in one spot. And
you have bumps coming from every direction, so if you have a certain stance and you're expecting a certain type of motion coming like from the nose toward the board, a lot of times in this situation, especially with a beach start, you might have some backwash. There goes, somebody went under. And then you have side bumps too from paddlers around you, so that start is really technical, as is this slow-mo and the replay here shows. So very tight pack. There you go. As you can see, we're talking about the choke down stroke. There it is. The person in the lead, and that might be Slater Trout, is with that choke down stroke, and he took the lead. He has clean water, and people are just trying to to stay in his water.
You know, I mean, since I was in the race, I didn't get to see the men's race. Who were the top 3 men contenders the whole way through?
So it was interesting. We had Slater Trout leading the way the first lap together with Chuck Glenn. Actually, Chuck Glenn from San Diego, California was the first one to dismount during the first lap. Slater Trout right behind him, then Matt Becker and Anthony Vella. And then during the last lap, it flipped. You had Slater Trout in the lead, Chuck Glenn behind, and then still Matt Becker and Anthony Vella. And as you can see, have you tried this choke down stroke? Do you like it?
I've tried it. I haven't done a lot of it, so I have a hard time because I'm not very used to it. So since I haven't spent a lot of time doing it, I actually was with Jimmy Terrell the other day at Quickblade, and he was showing me because he's making a new paddle just for the choke down stroke.
Oh, no way.
Yeah, and so it has a grip on the shaft, so you can figure out where you want your hand. And so he was showing me the benefits, and he's actually been doing a little bit of research about that stroke and has found that it's actually a very effective stroke to do. So it made a believer out of me a little bit. So I should probably get a little better at it.
But let me tell you, like, the same thing happened to me. The first time I was trying, the one thing that I was noticing with that stroke is how it slips. Like, it slips sideways because you don't have that hand on the grip, and the grip gives you a lot of control on how to place that blade. As the moment I went down, I would find myself just like with that blade, just going everywhere and hitting the rail. I'm like, I'm not sure this stroke actually works. So I gave it a bit more of a try, and sure enough, I just had a great time.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, it hasn't completely won me over yet, but working on it. So
now you got to be careful. Another thing too that I noticed, because I've been doing it for some time now, is you got to be careful because it does leverage a whole lot of your muscles. In some, and if you're not quite there with the muscles, which like I'm not, people, you can get injured fairly easily. So because a lot of it is like body placement, weight, and then you're getting a lot of leverage that usually you don't get, and your body's really tight. So I had, like, in my lower hips, actually, I had some muscles that feel like
it's tough on your low back too. I mean, I don't think that it's a stroke that you could sustain for a whole long period of time. But I mean, I think that it definitely has its place in different parts of the race. Yeah.
So you wanna try that. So we have another clip here. That was the start of the race of the Surftech Shootout 2013. Again, hashtag Surftech SO13. We're going to have another clip coming up for you. That was the start of the race. Slater Trout taking the lead on the choked down stroke. And right behind him, a lot of bump, a lot of turbulence, and people trying to stay on their boards and some not succeeding. As they shoot out to wrap around the wharf, we are bringing up the second instant replay and the play-by-play here at beautiful Santa Cruz, California. So, is that your first shootout, or you've been here before?
No, this is my first shootout, and I've actually heard about this race for several years. I think, is this number 3? Number 3?
Yeah, the third one I've been to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've always heard how brutal this race is, and I think we got really lucky today with it's a beautiful day out. I mean, conditions are perfect, so I got really lucky, which is good. I heard it was hailing one year.
That's right. So all we need is for Morgan Hostry to bring the weather, all the way from Maui, Hawaii, and we're good. We're good to go. This is the most beautiful. There we go. We got another replay. We are looking at, okay, so they've gone around the wharf. They've wrapped around the buoy. Now they're coming for the dismount. So they're coming towards the beach. Lap 1.
Break.
Yes, lap 1. We're looking at the men's. Look at the trail.
They're hammering. Look at those guys. Those guys are working hard.
Yeah, there we go. Picture in picture. I'm eating my Cliff Bar. Cliff Bar is one of the sponsors of the event, so there you go. I'm showing some love. I love Cliff Bars.
Which one is that?
So this one is the oatmeal.
Yeah, that one's a good one.
Raisin walnut. So here we are looking at coming to the beach. Let me take my glasses off so I can see what you can see, or what you're seeing. There you go.
Looks like there's a little bit of a swell for him coming in.
Yep.
Separates the surfers from the non-surfers.
Look at that line. Oh my goodness, that's a photo shoot. That's a shot right there for you. So you got first, third, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and I think I got 7th place as well, all lined up in each other's water. So Now, a lot of controversy around drafting, but when the light is on, there is no more controversy. There is drafting all the way, right?
It's just a part of it. I think there's etiquette to it, to be sure. And I sort of feel my personal stance on it is if you're following the etiquette and you're being polite and doing what you're supposed to do, you're not drafting off of someone on a bigger board than you, or if I were to draft off a guy, that would probably not be fair. But in this type of setting, I mean, it happens in other racing too. I don't see why it's a problem.
That's right. So here we have Chuck Glenn. Chuck Glenn in blue taking the lead. Right behind him is Slater Trout. And then right behind Slater is Matt Backer. And behind Matt Backer is Anthony Vella. There's something fascinating. You see how this shot will change like several times in just a matter of a few seconds, largely due to the bump. Mm-hmm. So right now, everybody's evenly spread. There you go. Everybody's your typical drafting shot. As they come closer and closer to the shoreline and the wave jacks up, you see there will be huge gaps, and then they're going to get closer together. And as they dismount, then there will be a huge gap on the beach. So there you go, Chuck Glenn. Now what's interesting, I would think that right now they would have the choke down stroke because you probably want to try to catch the bump if you see one. Mm-hmm. So here's a little bit of a bump.
Yeah, you know, when you're drafting like this, it's sort of dangerous when the waves start coming.
That's
this
right.
is the part where you really have to be careful about the drafting.
There you go. Here comes Anthony Vella shooting all the way from the back.
Anthony is such a good surfer, and especially on the race boards, you know, he's so good at that race board
That's
surfing.
right. And there we go. He tried to catch the wave. He doesn't catch. So he was about to overtake Slater Trout, but because he missed the bump, there we go. Everything changes. Here's the shore break. You can get hurt here, seriously.
You can. It's gnarly, you know. I mean, if you're in the wrong
There you go. Look at that board.
That
board sometimes just pokes through the back, right?
Yeah, and it's hard. And when you come in with somebody else, and if they fall and their board comes at you, that's kind of one of the dangerous parts of it too.
That's right. So Slater Trout was right on the tail of Chuck Glenn. And that board is the ugliest part of the board that's going to be looking at you if you're behind. That's the tail with the fin.
That's true. You're right. The sharp part.
Yeah, you don't want to fall on that at all. So there, look at that as they step. So the front pack with Chuck Glenn and Slater Trout, huge gap. They were just neck and neck. They set their foot on the ground and get a huge lead.
Yeah, the transitions will make or break the race for people. And so this is the part where they have to come in and do the running. And this run was long. I mean, it was a half mile, I guess, at the end of it. That's a long way to run.
I know, that was a half mile. So, yeah, gives us, I mean, how do you look at it? You want to get your feet as soon as possible on the sand, right? Isn't that the idea?
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think that when you're riding those waves in, I've always found that it's best to get your board as high on the beach as possible. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to jump off into the hole that you were talking about. So if you can jump off into shallow water, then you can just start running right away, and it's a much smoother transition.
Yeah, so you probably want to scout the water a little bit earlier and see if there's a hole or not.
Yeah, just see what you're dealing
if you're
with.
Not in Santa Cruz, right? But the water is actually warm, so it's okay to scout. And the tide was dropping, so you could probably see, the bottom because we got here. The tide was a bit earlier.
I don't know if the water's warm, though, really.
Well,
Did you go
warm.
in the water, Andre? It's a little chilly, actually.
Yeah, Hawaii standards, right? That's
I guess so.
Definitely cold water. I'm originally from Brazil, so everything is cold here. Everything is just tough for me. But anyway, Morgan, tell me about. So, do we have the girls? Do we have the girls shot, Eric? We're gonna try to bring the girls shot as well because we had like a wild horse in the race. Somebody I had met her father before, but she had a great race. The young girl, Britt.
She did amazing.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, she ran me right down at the end of the race.
I know. That's what she was always talking. Yeah, I know. That's what she was telling me. Oh, I can run because I've been running. And okay.
Yeah, no, she was good. She was very, very good in the run.
So we're gonna have that coming up for you in just a bit. But no, this is cold. This is cold. I mean, I'm very thin-skinned. I'm sure you are too.
Well, I'm sort of like a reptile, actually. I can pretty adaptable, I think.
Okay.
So, but I mean, it's such a beautiful day here. We got so lucky with the conditions and everything, and between all the surfing yesterday, and hopefully we'll get some waves tomorrow. Seems to have flat. You can see Steamer Lane right there. It's like you can see it's flattened out a little bit from yesterday. But
and this is what a lot of people don't know is how prestigious of a venue this is, right? There is incredible surfing history right here. And have you surfed the lane before the contest? Had you?
Never on a stand-up. Because it's like you said, Steamer Lane is it's a well-known spot. It's very prestigious, and to be able to surf there with just a couple other people is pretty special, especially on the stand-ups. So, I mean, that sort of made the whole event worth it. And if you're looking for any other reason to come, it should be that you can surf the lane with 2 other people.
That's right. So forget everything. Come here and surf the lane. Surfing the lane with 4 people is, I mean, worthwhile the registration and the trip here. So. What I found out that's very interesting about Steamer Lane is that
yep, here's some
here we go. So here we have the girls. No, that's the beach run. The girls will be coming up in just a bit. We got a replay. So we got a replay of the start of the race. So here we go. Maybe we have some girls in this shot, or maybe not. We're fishing for the girls. There's somewhere in here.
There were quite a few competitors in the race, so it's probably hard to find them all.
Oh, there you go. Oh, who's that? We didn't know that. Okay,
so
here we go.
I am not a runner.
So you're running backwards. Is that why you're running backwards? Okay, so here we go. Morgan
footage of me running is just so embarrassing.
There you go. Slow-mo, Morgan. Let's freeze. Okay, let's freeze. What's the name of that lifeguard show? What was Pamela Anderson? What was that? Baywatch shot right here.
This is the anti-Baywatch.
That's the real. That's the Ocean Watch right there.
What's good is that you can't actually hear what's going through my head at this moment because it's just laced with profanity. I do not enjoy running. So at this moment, I'm not at my happiest at all.
I know you go from like this very low impact lifestyle to like all the shock and awe on your joints right now.
That's the thing, it's like, see, I'm talking to people. I should really focus more on these races. This is why I don't win, Andre. This is a problem.
You have too much fun. But sometimes how that fun works out. I mean, I've seen you just cranking in Hawaii for the Waikiki Paddle Fest. I mean, you're just kicking some butt there. So,
every now and then I have like a little moment, but I do tend to make quite a few mistakes. I feel like if I'm having a good moment, I'm pretty good at sabotaging myself.
Because
remember the wrong buoy turn incident? Remember that one?
That's right. I mean, that is true. Because you do have to think quite a bit. There's so many moving parts, right?
You're right. And when you're tired, too, in these races, you get so tired and it becomes really difficult to think about what
it's
you're doing.
Huge high, right?
Yeah.
You're just like, boom, in the cloud, and you're like, oh, please, would this finish?
Yeah.
Bring
this is fun,
but
I'm ready for it to be over.
I know. And then afterwards, all the dopamine, endorphin, and adrenaline rush make it worthwhile.
Definitely. That's the good part.
Our natural high afterwards. So that was a little bit of a beach run. So tell me about the race with Britt. I mean, how did it work? So Candace had a great start. You're right there. Allison Riddle was in the mix, and Britt right there. Britt, I think, just turned 18, so she's fairly young, just coming onto the scene. How was it? How was it out there with her?
It was fine. I mean, it's fun to see kind of the up and coming girls, especially because they're all doing so well. But to be honest with you, in the beginning I didn't really see her until after the first run, because as you saw, my questionable running style is not really my forte, and she ran me right down during that part. And then when we were going back out to the buoy, I looked behind and she was actually drafting me, so it was a surprise because I hadn't seen her prior to that point. And then I was like, oh no, and so I had to start paddling a little faster, so we were kind of duking it out for a bit, and then she ended up getting me on the last run.
On the last run, yeah.
On the last run, I'm sure there's footage of it. I had sort of lost the will to live, so.
So Morgan, as we're about to bring the other clip on here, tell us about your life. I mean, you do all kinds of things. You have camps. You're in Oahu, right?
Yeah, I'm on Oahu, yes.
You're on Oahu.
So, I mean, my life at the moment sort of revolves a little bit around downwind paddling because that's one of my most favorite things to do. So, recently I've started doing, if people come to Hawaii, or doing weeks in Hawaii where we do downwind in the morning, and then in the afternoon we go surfing or free diving or hiking, or just kind of like the a day in my life sort of experience, and I try to have as much fun as possible.
And how can people find out about this? I mean, where can they go and maybe sign up?
Oh, I actually have a website. It's morganismyname.com. So
No way. Really?
Yeah, well, no one can spell my last name, so I figured it was just easier if I...
That is excellent.
So,
That's an excellent domain. There you go. morganismyname.com.
Host tree is a little long.
Host tree is
hard to spell. Lots of E's.
Yeah, there you go. I'm a casing point for that. There is an interesting story there. Gary Duffel or Gary Duffy?
Gary Duffy?
Gary Duffy. So I was, what was it? What was that? It was Orlando, Florida. We were at a trade show. And I met this guy who he just had like an awesome tune. I mean, he could crank the guitar and just really groovy. Kind of like Donovan Frankenreiter, Jack Johnson.
He is a very, very talented musician.
Jason Mraz. Really groovy beach style song. And he wrote a song about an experience he had, with you.
He did. I mean, I think that's so great. And he told me after he had written it, and he was like, he sent it over, and he was like, well, I really want you to hear the song because I wrote it when we were hanging out for a week. And he was actually the harmonica player in a band called Barefoot Truth. And so he recently has gone out solo, and so he's working on his solo career. But he's such an awesome person. He has a really good spirit about him, and he's very fun to play with in Hawaii because he was up for everything. I mean, we went paddling and hiking and surfing. And
right. Look it up. Go on iTunes. The name of the song is Prove Me Wrong, Gary Duffy. And the reason why it's Prove Me Wrong because he was like, I'm not sure I can do this. And he was like, so Morgan, prove me wrong, right?
I do enjoy maybe being a catalyst for other people to discover what they can do.
Because, I
find a lot of times people sell themselves short. So I enjoy putting people in positions that are in situations where they're not quite sure that they're going to be able to handle it and letting them prove themselves wrong. Because they always do, and it's pretty fun to watch, actually.
See, I'm not a big guy into all that power thinking and cognitive science, but there is one thing that I ran into that I found kind of helpful, and I hate cliches, but it's somewhat cliched. A lot of people talk about limits. I want to find my limits. I want to find the limits of what I can do in life. And I think a lot of times when you're thinking in terms of limits, you'll find the limits sooner than it should be. So I try to say, I'm not looking for limits. I'm trying to define possibilities, and that seems to just help the outlook and push me a bit farther. So
no, it's true. I mean, your attitude has a lot to do with it. So
yeah.
It's that thing that your mom tells you when you're little, and you don't believe her, but then
that's right. Prove me wrong.
Exactly.
There you go. Prove me wrong. So I think we have a clip here. So there we go. Let's see what we got. There we go. Replay brought to you by Oakley at the Surftech Shootout 2013 in Santa Cruz, California. So we're looking at lap 2 now. That's about that's the last lap of the men's race. That's a 12.6. Look at that. Every bump counts.
Yeah, so this is Slater, Trout,
and Chuck Lynn.
Oh, okay. And so Slater's going to get a cruise into this wave right here.
Yeah, look at that little bump. I mean, you could that bump makes a world of difference right there.
Yeah, so now all he's got left is that run.
Yeah, look at the gap. Look at the gap.
This was an interesting place right there because there were a lot of, there was like a swirly current, sort of like a riptide almost right there. So that was a tricky spot. He handled it really well.
Look at that. They were neck and neck. That's the race right there in a nutshell for you. That dismount.
Yeah, as long as he doesn't get run down on the beach.
I know, but Chuck Lynn doesn't run that often. In fact, Chuck Lynn ran his first marathon or half marathon, I think it was last year or the year before, and he got seriously injured.
Oh, yeah, that's too bad.
Because he's not much of a runner. He had never gone running. And he did, and he had a serious injury. It is a very different skill set and different muscle groups that you need to develop.
You're right. The muscles are completely different, and I don't care how good of a shape you are for paddling, it's just not the same for running. Slater Trout seems to be in good running shape, though. Looks good. Well,
they have Baywatch right there for you.
For all the ladies out there
for all the
Slater
ladies,
Trout run on the beach.
He's committed. He has a significant other.
Oh, that's right. Doesn't she have famous parents or something?
Something like that, yeah. Hollywood style. Yeah, they've been going back and forth. I think she's here, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So There you go. That's the final lap going for the beach run. That is half a mile, but that's probably one of the most painful half a mile.
Oh, yeah, he's
half
probably
a mile
pretty
runs.
happy right now because now it's the home stretch.
The home stretch. He wrapped around. He went under the wharf. Now he's coming back towards the wharf. He's going to go under the wharf again toward the finish line. So he's happy. He saw that he has a pretty good gap on Chuck Lynn thanks to that one bump that he caught just a few yards from the shoreline. There you go. He goes under the wharf. He's going to come out on the other side. We're going to have Slater Trout coming out. There we go. Slater Trout now on the other side of the wharf, and that was probably either Matt or Anthony right there. There goes Anthony. There goes Slater Trout for the finish line. So
claiming it.
Chuck's still trying to catch. I mean, there goes Chuck, just hammering, but it's tough with the sand. The sand makes it all the more difficult.
You're right.
So
running in sand is very, very difficult.
yeah, your feet are shifting and you're exhausted. But it's a good mix, though. Your lungs are kind of maxed out, but it is a good shift of a muscle group. You go from a lot of different groups, muscle groups on the stroke to the beach run. So I think we're good. Do we have? I think we're good on that. Do we have any footage on the girls? Let's show the girls some love. We're gonna try to find the girls. We're gonna try to find some footage from the girls, and then we're gonna wrap it up. Because we need to grab something to eat and then resume the webcast at the surf event.
Oh, that'll be fun. The beginner and intermediate surf contest at Cowell's. That's such a fun spot. It's right over there. There's some good waves coming in right now.
That's right, and the tide's going to be dropping. No, but we're going to be resuming the webcast at 2 o'clock for the actual surf.
Killer.
Yeah, round 2. So yesterday you all had round 1, right? Everybody gets to surf again, which is kind of an interesting setup because if you are coming to Santa Cruz, California, you don't run the risk of just being disqualified on round 1, and then you paid your entry and you don't surf again. That would be kind of lame.
Yeah.
So you can come, sign up.
So is that this afternoon?
Yeah.
Am I surfing this afternoon?
Yeah, Morgan, you are
Really?
surfing this afternoon.
Oh, I didn't actually.
Yeah, so let's give Morgan Hostry a little bit of an update here on the judge criteria and also how it works. So the race that you just watched is tied in with a surf contest at Stimmerlane, and you have obviously winners of the race and also winners of the surf contest, but you also have an overall winner. So depending on how you perform at the race and how you perform at the surf, it all comes together, and then there's a grand prize, and there's actually a purse. I think there is a total of $2,000 for the purse.
Nice.
Yeah, of the contest. And the way it works is the race is a one-time thing. You're not racing again. That is, it's over. But the surf contest started yesterday. That was round 1, because you were in it. And then round 2 is today. And the way it works is they take the placement from round 1. So if you finished either first, third, second, fourth, whatever. And then they add to the placement of round 2. So say that you got placed 4th. But then say you win round 2. So you got 4. With the placement number 1, you got total of 5 points. And based on that system, they will advance people to to the final round, round 3, the next day, and that is Sunday.
I see.
So that's how it works.
I guess I'm surfing later then. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So now the question is about the tiebreaker. So, when you're sticking to placement, it's very easy to get people the same scores. And we are not quite clear on what the tiebreaker is. Anyway, we got a replay ready for you, and now Morgan knows how the whole surfing contest goes down.
That's good. I'm glad we had this talk, Andre.
Yeah, let's take a look at the girls. So here we go. This is a replay of the Surftech Shootout brought to you by Oakley, one of the sponsors of today's event, together with Cliff Bar, Quick Blade, Bark,
that looks
and
like
Septimac.
Candace.
There we go. Candace Appleby going under. Oh, look at that. That's Dave Vaney and Chris Hollingsworth. So they're racing, too, with their eyes, trying to figure out what's going on. Let's see. Yeah. No, that was Candace. There we go. Oh, we gotta show the girls some love. We're gonna take some heat for that. We're gonna take some heat for that. Anyway, let's go back here. So, okay, it's getting really cold. I'm feeling really bad for Morgan. She needs to eat. She just had a very long race. So we're gonna wrap up here. I don't want her to get a cold either, and she will have more surfing later in the day. There we go. That's the. Is that the final?
Yeah, yeah.
You're looking energetic there, though.
No, not so much. I look very sad, actually.
Oh, gee.
Wow.
Is that CC? Is that CC going crazy?
Wow.
We gotta have CC. We gotta have CC.
Get some footage of that.
Yeah, we gotta get some footage of that. Hey! That's our cameraman, by the way.
Yeah, the cameraman was just doing a bunch of back handsprings on the beach. It was pretty impressive. He did like 20 in a row.
Yeah,
I've never seen anything like that before.
No, our cameraman is a gnarly skater, by the way.
He was yoga posing it
whoa,
up.
that's CC. We gotta have. So Morgan, thanks a lot for this.
No, thanks for having me.
And we'll see you again at the surf contest. Grab something to eat. Always awesome seeing you, Morgan.
Same.
So the greatest vibe of the sup world coming right here from Morgan Hostry. I'll get the hostry.
You got it.
Hostry.
Close
there
enough.
we go, hostry.
You should not call me Megan like most people do. So that's good. Yeah.
Megan, no, Megan. No Megan for me. All right, Morgan.
Thanks
a lot. There we go. All righty. Okay, we're going to have some.